This is the Jaffel Report.
Sometimes history rhymes in uncomfortable and yet undeniable cinematic ways. Hey, it's your West Coast Canadian boomer with an observation on comparisons between James Comey and Donald Trump, and Hans Litten with Adolph Hitler, right after this. This Jaffel Report brought to you by 420guidedmeditation.ca. That's the number 420guidedmeditation.ca. Let's start with the cast. James Comey, former FBI director, and Donald Trump, whose resume you might have noticed goes well beyond golf and Twitter. Comey, indicted just this past month on charges of making false statements and obstruction, not coincidentally, days after Trump pressed his attorney general for prosecutions of perceived enemies. It's not exactly the good old checks and balances at work, more like a playoff game where the referee has a money bet on one team, as reported by CBC News. Reminds me of Hans Litten, the German Jewish lawyer who in 1931 hauled Adolf Hitler into a Berlin courtroom and questioned him so relentlessly about his party's violent attacks that Hitler turned apoplectic. Let's call that narrative when annoying the boss goes bad. Litten, of course, paid dearly for this. Years of imprisonment and brutality, marked forever as Hitler's personal prisoner for the grievous offense of making a strong man squirm in public, as reported by the BBC News. Are we watching a replay on slow motion in Washington, D.C.? Not apples to apples. Canada's own Supreme Court would pop a gasket. But there are echoes. A leader escalating retribution against opponents, institutions bending under political pressure, and legal professionals caught in the crossfire. Comey's charges, by all accounts, seem less about legal disputes and more about who's next on the rivals list, as reported by CBC and CTV News. Toss in the fact that in both time periods, public trust in the independence of justice ebbs away like sunscreen on a rainy Kitts beach, as reported by CTV News. Best case scenario? The judicial process works. Checks and balances find their spines, and Comey gets a fair, transparent trial under the full Klieg lights of the world's media. Trump attends the theater, perhaps enjoys a Diet Coke, and history looks back at this as a rough chapter that democracy weathered. Maybe even a West Coast boomer like me finds faith again in the resilience of institutions and gets my garden tomatoes in before the next rainfall. Worst case scenario? Prosecutions become political theater. Critics wind up in court, or worse, loyalty replaces law as the guiding system, and as some legal observers have already flagged as the growing concern. In the most chilling movie remake of all, retribution escalates. Opponents are sidelined or persecuted, and we find ourselves in the old Hans Litten nightmare, where confronting power means risking everything, according to CBC News. What's a progressive boomer to do? Stay noisy, stay informed, and keep believing in messiness over silence. Because as history rhymes, sometimes badly, it's the persistent voices, even from the peanut gallery of the Pacific, that keep the good trouble brewing and the worst-case scenario endings at bay. Who am I, you ask? Just another friendly observer. Call me Jaffo.
The Jaffel Report.ca.
The Jaffel Report is downloadable from wherever you get your podcasts from. That's the JaffelReport.ca. Life can be overwhelming, and sometimes we all need a moment to recharge. I initially discovered guided meditation back in my 40s, but neglected it until my heart attack in my 60s. Eventually, I started recording my own guided meditations, and now I'd like to share them with the public. Whether you prefer a simple, soothing voice or a rich experience by adding music with ambient sounds, I've got you covered. The meditation sessions start at $4.20 each. The first 3 are free. Visit 420guidedmeditation.ca. That's the number 420guidedmeditation.ca. And start your journey to inner calm. Your path to peace is just a click away. This Canuck Boomer thanks you for your time, and we'll catch up with you again soon.